Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our latest podcast in the Golfing Society series. I have the privilege and pleasure this morning of having a gentleman called Anthony Etchells with me. Now, Anthony Etchells is the founder of a fantastic new social enterprise called Swing Stars. So, Anthony, wonderful to have you here this morning.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
We'll keep the audience in anticipation at the minute as to what Swing Stars is all about. But I must declare some interest here. Anthony joined us at Golfing Society as a volunteer some years ago, where he wanted to step up and make a difference at his local golf clubs to people facing challenges later in life. As you know, Golfing Society very much works with older adults and gives them the opportunity to keep enjoying their favourite thing later in life. And if sport has been that thing, then Golfing Society gives them the opportunity to keep that in their lives. So Anthony stepped up as a volunteer, and he loved it so much that he became our regional lead in the Northeast as we grew our venues and our customers across the Northeast. And then, very kindly, he stepped up to be a director on the Golfing Society board. So I've declared my interest in why I've got Anthony here today. But apart from all of that, and apart from his fantastic work that he's done for Golfing Society so far, he's got some really, really exciting plans ahead for Swing Stars and making a difference to another generation within our society, younger people, especially children at school, to give them an opportunity to get out there and be active and hopefully through this wonderful world of golf. So I'm not going to spoil it too much, Anthony, in terms of what we're going to go through today, but I'm really pleased to have you here with us this morning. So let's about me talking and over to you now, Anthony. So a little bit of an introduction to yourself, your family, your background and everything. So over to you, Anthony.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to speak this morning. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be here. So yeah, a little bit about my background. As you know, Anthony, I came to you. It was 2018, I believe.
Wow, that long ago.
Yeah, it's quite a while. I was made redundant. I took voluntary redundancy as a secondary school teacher, and after that period, I was looking to. I was felt a little bit lost, to be honest, on what I wanted to do next. I didn't really want to go back into teaching, and at that time, as Anthony said, I volunteered with Golfing Society, and why I did that was because of my dad, like Anthony's dad. I'm sure that a lot of the listeners have heard about his why and how he founded Golfing Society. I reached out to Anthony because of my father. He was living with Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease and loved golf. And it's the reason why I love golf. And he, got me into the game when I was a young teenager. But there wasn't any opportunities for him to continue playing golf. He did go swimming once a week with a lady from the Alzheimer's Society, a volunteer from the Alzheimer's Society, but there was no real kind of sport that he enjoyed. So I reached out to Anthony to volunteer, really, and because it's such a great enterprise that gets people playing and enjoying the sport that they love. And Anthony kindly offered me a job as a golf activator in the Northeast, and since then, and continue to this day, I'm leading the Northeast branch of Golfing Society at a few venues across Durham, Northumberland, and Tyne and Wear. And we're helping people play golf and enjoy the game that they love. And it might be people that have been ostracized by their playing partners. Sadly, we get a lot of people come to us like that. But also it's, I've had the privilege of teaching people from scratch. A couple of people who are living with Parkinson's disease who find golf a fantastic way to, keep themselves active, but also, keep their motor skills active, if you like, for want of a better phrase. That they find that golf is a brilliant way to to keep themselves active, as I said, but also those fine motor skills. There's so many different ways to use the golf club and for different shots. And you know, Tim, one of my clients, he loves golf from that aspect that it does keep him active. We've got that social element as well. We have a great time on the course on a Friday, but it's also, learning different skills and trying to, you know, you know, hit great strikes. We don't do it all the time, but, you know, getting that strike to where we want the ball to go every so often, it's why we come back and play the game, each week. So, yeah, that's how I got involved with Golf in Society, and I've loved every minute of it. So yeah, thank you, Anthony, for inviting me to work for you those many years ago.
No, that's a privilege to have you on board, and you've done a fantastic job so far. But less of the let's the Anthony Appreciation Society. Basically, just so the listeners know, you don't have to be called Anthony to get involved in Golfing Society. We are a broad church, and do have other people that aren't called Anthony working for this wonderful social enterprise. But obviously, Anthony, you shared with us there the sort of educational background you had as a teacher and everything else. But have you got kids yourself?
I have, yes, Freya and Arlo. Freya's my eldest, who's just turned 10, and Arlo's 8. Yeah, keeping me busy.
And do they play golf?
They've tried golf, but they haven't got into it yet, so I haven't really pushed it. Arlo especially he's played more golf. He's had some lessons from me, which didn't go great because sons and their fathers, sometimes sons don't really kind of listen to their dads. So we arranged for him to have golf lessons at the local driving range from the pro there. But he hasn't taken to it. I find he's a mini me. He's really hard on himself and finds it really challenging and frustrating. So he's we've kind of, we've led him down the road of playing football and other sports for the time being. I hope he'll come back to golf when he's learned a bit more patience.
Very good, very good. I'm sure he will. So we're going to move on now, Anthony, as to why you founded Swing Stars. Obviously, it's a social enterprise, but just give us a little bit of an understanding as to why you decided to do it and the inspiration behind setting out on your social journey.
Yeah, thanks. So part of the reason why I founded Swing Stars is because of my work with Golf in Society. Um, you know, our business at Golf in Society is reaching out to people who maybe don't have the opportunities to play golf, at an older age, and find limited opportunities. And I just thought, well, there's limited opportunities for children to play golf. There's a statistic, only 0.3% of children in the UK have had the opportunity to try golf, which, for me personally, who loves golf, I think that's a crime. It's a great sport. It gives children an opportunity to play something different, really. It's often a singular sport. It's less athletic. You need to use, your brain more than your kind of physical ability, more so than other sports, I believe. And I think, golf can be a really enjoyable sport for everybody. So my idea behind Swing Stars is to bring golf and the opportunity to play golf to primary age children. But also I'm going to have a focus on children with disabilities and children living with special educational needs. I think golf can be, as I said earlier there, it's a very singular sport, and I think golf can really lend itself to children with disabilities or children with learning difficulties who maybe find other athletic sports, team sports, not so appealing. I think golf can be a great way for children who are neurodivergent, who are maybe perhaps more introverted than other children, enjoy sport and enjoy golf. So yeah, that's a bit about the reason why I've founded Swing Stars. And to be honest, it's because of capacity at this time of year with golf in society. Golf is a very seasonal sport. I'm busy during the summer months, but in these winter months when it's cold and wet and windy outside, a lot of people are fair weather golfers, and you know especially people living with chronic illnesses. Being outside in the cold is a non-starter. So I do have capacity to do work in schools during the winter period, which is another reason why I founded Swing Stars, to because I have the capacity to do that.
That's a great introduction. Have you found that in sort of putting your social enterprise together that your sort of, I suppose, lived experience and professional expertise as a teacher has been extremely useful in putting your proposal together, your social enterprise together?
I think it has, yeah. I think coming from a business background and teaching has helped kind of help me set up the business with your guidance as well, Anthony. Anthony's kindly agreed to be a director for my business. So his guidance and his mentorship has been really helpful in getting the business set up. And I've got to thank Sport England, who have funded my business. I've received a grant to start the business, so that funding has been instrumental in getting it set up. So I've fortunately been through the process of applying and going through a panel interview with UnLtd, who distribute funding on behalf of Sport England. So that's I've been really fortunate to receive that funding. I'm really privileged to receive that. So I feel as though I've got a great opportunity to bring golf to children in primary schools in the Northeast to begin with, and hopefully branch out further in the future. But yeah, going back to your question, with regards to my business background, I think that has helped certainly. But as you know yourself, Anthony, you come across different challenges running your business and that you haven't foreseen, and it's a big learning curve. So, but yeah, I feel my grounding in business has helped certainly.
Okay, that's good to know. So, really, just so the audience get an understanding as to the scale of the social challenge that you're addressing here. Have you got any sort of key stats and facts about kids and activity? You mentioned one on how many people have given golf a go a little bit earlier, which, to be honest, shocked me as well. But just in terms of activity levels in children and sort of opportunities to get involved in sport amongst children, in terms of some sort of stats and facts to share with the audience.
Yeah, certainly. So as I'm sure a lot of people realize that our children aren't active enough. In the Northeast, especially, it's higher than the rest of the UK. There's only 52% of children in the Northeast are taking part in enough activity each day, 60 minutes of moderate or vigorous activity a day. So, you know, we've got to create more opportunities for children to play sports. So I feel my enterprise, can do that, especially for children who, you know, don't enjoy um, certain parts of PE, as I alluded to earlier. It gives an opportunity for children who, don't like running around and playing football and the physical aspects of a lot of sports. It gives them the opportunity to try something different. Um, and yeah, so I think, as I said earlier, only 0.3% of children playing golf. It's a crime. I think golf can be a great sport for a lot of children. And one of my reasons for starting the enterprise is children with disabilities are missing out on PE. Um, so I've I've had the pleasure of shadowing Neil Plymmer, who runs a very similar enterprise in Sussex called Jolf, and he uses adapted equipment for children in wheelchairs, so they can still take part. They can use smaller clubs on tables, and he's got different size clubs for children with different disabilities. So there's clubs where you hold it two-handed, that is adapted, and there's smaller clubs that you can use on a table. There's a larger club that you can use, with the ball on the floor for children in wheelchairs. So I think golf can be played, you know, in a wheelchair. Certainly, I've witnessed it, and I've seen the enjoyment and the joy on the faces of these children, playing golf indoors in wheelchairs, which is really inspirational. So I'd like to bring that to the Northeast, to special educational needs schools in the Northeast.
Very good. No, that's very good. And what do you think the biggest barriers are to kids getting involved in activity?
Um, I think some of the barriers for getting involved in activity, especially for children with disabilities, is the access to appropriate equipment um, in schools. And sadly, a lot of PE teachers haven't been trained sufficiently in how to approach PE for children with disabilities. Um, so um, I've taken part in some initial training with a charity called Smile Through Sport, which I'm going to be having more of in the near future, with another one of our coaches for Golf in Society, who is working in the west part of the region. So we're looking to get training from Smile Through Sport before we go into schools, to deliver the sessions, to have a greater understanding of how children with disabilities and children who are neurodiverse, and what's the best way to approach our golf sessions. So, I think especially for children living with disabilities and children that are neurodiverse, perhaps the opportunities to play sport, aren't there. So it's something that I'm looking to address with my enterprise.
Okay, that's great. The one thing I'll say is when I was a kid, I loved sport. To be honest, because of my dyslexia and dyscalculia, to be honest, lessons were a real struggle for me. So as soon as that bell rang at the end of the lesson, and there was a chance to get outside and put your blazers down on the floor and have a game of footy with your mates during lunchtime or coffee or milk break in the morning, as it was back then. It was wonderful. And then after school, I'd go, and the first thing we would do after we'd had our tea and if we'd done our homework and everything else, we'd down the local playing field, either doing football, cricket, whatever, but we'd be out playing sport. So sport was very much a part of my life. And I feel so thankful that I had the opportunity to play sport and enjoy sport when I was younger. And I think that it's such an important part of our formative years to have that sort of activity and that opportunity to enjoy activity and the things that it brings hardwired into you, because I think it stays with you, and it's something that I just wish more kids had the opportunity to have that hardwired into them. But also, I think hardwiring it in, it's got to be a favorite thing. It's got to be an enjoyable thing. It's got to be something they look forward to and enjoy doing. And, I think that that's really, really important in terms of creating that wonderful little framework in which our future generations grow up. And that's why I'm so excited about your plans for Swing Stars, which I think that's a perfect segue to sort of move on to telling the audience a little bit more about Swing Stars, what the pilot looks like. 'Cause I know you're starting on an exciting pilot at the moment, how it works, who you're targeting, what your hopes and aspirations are for the actual pilot phase, and hopefully the difference that you're going to make to kids. So, Anthony, over to you. Do you just want to give people a walk through what Swing Stars pilot's all going to be about?
Yeah, certainly. So, um, the aim is to use adapted equipment and go into primary schools and special educational needs schools and create enjoyable golf sessions, meaningful golf sessions for children. Um, so we've got obviously it's going to be very dangerous for kids to be using real golf balls and real golf clubs. So we've got shorter plastic clubs and a range of soft balls that the children can use indoors. Obviously to make it safe is the first point. But the way we approach golf indoors is from a task-based approach. So getting the ball from point A to point B, from a spot on the floor to different size circles or hoops, and there may be different obstacles to go over or through. There may be a putting challenge where they've got to put the ball across a wooden bench that primary schools have. I'm sure you can remember sitting on those wooden benches in reception, in your assembly, Anthony. So they're a great tool to use. Getting the ball to go all the way along the bench and land in the hoop at the bottom. And I've found a great use for a balance beam that we bought for our children when they were into gymnastics. That I could use, which is only about 6 inches wide, and about 10 feet long. So that would be quite a real challenge. Maybe I'll introduce that, after a number of weeks when they're improve their putting skills. But getting the ball to roll along that balance beam into a hoop could be a good challenge, for the children. So yeah, it's going to work on a carousel basis, where the children get 5 or 6 minutes on each task. And then they move on to another challenge, a different challenge, getting the ball from point A to point B, in different ways. So yeah, that's how it would work. In all cases, in primary schools and special educational needs schools. So creating appropriate task-based games for children in the schools. Those keeping it short and sharp. So the kids have the opportunity to move the ball in different ways to different targets. Is the idea. So yeah, that's a little bit about how I would work. It's quite difficult to describe golf, without pictures and video. So that's. I hope I've explained that in a way people understand. But yeah, it's about, golf is about training our motor skills, and using the club and creating touch and feel, and how to move the ball at different speeds and get the ball to move at different trajectories with different clubs. So, you're doing that safely indoors and doing it sensibly, and the children, playing fairly, taking turns and encouraging each other is going to be one of the golden rules that we have for children. And I'm fortunate enough to be coming from a teaching background, and I know the importance of that. The children playing sensibly and fairly is going to be one of the key things for swing stars.
How long are you going to be running the pilot for, Anthony?
So I'm going to be running the pilot for in each school for 6 to 7 weeks. I'm looking to go into primary schools, which I've had interest from recently, nearby, in Newcastle where I live, and I've got a school in Ashington, just north of me, a special educational needs school, which I'm going to be piloting my sessions for children with neurodiversity. Not children in wheelchairs for the time being, because I'm still adapting the equipment and getting the correct equipment that I need to do that. That will be another step in the future. So yeah, running the sessions for 6 to 7 weeks, getting feedback from the children and feedback from the teachers, and kind of refining the sessions really, and creating sessions that are as enjoyable as possible for all children.
I think that's a really interesting point you mentioned there, because my next question was going to be for you. You know that golf in society, one of the most important things for us is to make sure that every one of our customers is involved in shaping and designing the services that support them. So that was my key thing. How are you going to involve the kids, the school teachers, to give you that feedback and that insight into what's working, what's not working. So how does that look like within the pilot, Anthony?
Yeah, so as you say, I think it's really important to get the feedback from the children first and foremost, and and the teachers. Um, but I think asking them, having a chat with them and asking what was your most enjoyable task, and getting them to fill out a little survey, nothing too difficult about if they've enjoyed the session, what was their favorite task, getting their feedback, which balls did they like the most, getting the correct ball, because I've got a number of balls, and trialing out which balls work best for different tasks is going to be key. Because if the ball's too heavy for chipping, or the ball's too light and and moves around too much for putting, so getting their feedback on what's best for each task, really. And my children, Freya and Arlo, have begun to help me with that. Before I go into the schools and what they like. Um, but yeah, as you said, I think it's really important to get that feedback, and to help me refine my approach, and make the sessions as enjoyable as possible for children in the future.
Yeah, I think you've given yourself a really good chance of succeeding, because just to prove that I was paying attention when we first went through the pilot and how you were going to design the activities and the different tasks. I think the kids have been involved in doing those. So from a starting point, you've actually involved them in the tasks themselves. So if there's a buy-in by the kids because it's their activity, their tasks that they've designed and been involved in setting up, then I think that they'll ensure that their colleagues within that sort of group will actually engage more. They can explain it more to the kids. And with all due respect, I'm getting on a bit now, but I think kids talking to kids and engaging kids and using the language of kids around a task that they've developed themselves, I think you're going to find that the engagement in the task is going to be that much higher, because ultimately they've had an involvement from day one, and I think that was a very smart way of approaching it, Anthony.
No, thank you. Yeah, I think you know having help from my children in actually creating the name Swing Stars is helped, because um, I initially set up the business with the name Game Golf, and your feedback, you rightly said to me that the target audience doesn't, the name doesn't really meet the target audience, or isn't suitable for that group of people. So the my children help come up with the name Swing Stars. I think that's been really helpful. And have Freya and Arlo, play or design different tasks with the hoops, and the spots and the balls has been really good. And getting their feedback. But one of the one of the key parts of Swing Stars is having the children play their way. So we're not hands on as coaches. With golf, it's very easy to be technical. It is a very technical game, and I myself personally want to get better at golf, and you need to think about technique. But children at primary age, they want to have fun in it and enjoy themselves, and let them find their way to play, is really important. And, if they want to hold the club a certain way, like a hockey stick, let them do that if that's the way they want to do it. So, you know, having them play their way and not being, you're not holding this right, you need to do it like this, is, that's not the way forward with primary age children.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely crucial to share with the audience, that because ultimately all you're doing rather is you're facilitating children to have a great time playing this wonderful game of golf, but doing it their way. because, as you know, when you get to enjoying a full golfing life, Anthony, there's lots of rules, regulations, and all the other stuff that red tape that comes with it. But ultimately, as you quite rightly say, primary age, it's about discovery, it's about enjoyment, it's about finding a way to enjoy it yourself. And I think that that's really, really crucial in creating those pathways for them to enjoy this sport, this activity for a full lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel as though I've made the mistake with my own son Arlo, getting him to play golf the way I play golf, and not having this step of finding, golf enjoyable and finding his own way to play. So I feel as though I've made that mistake, with my own son, sadly. I wish I had this step before taking him to the driving range and hitting real golf balls with real clubs. So I think it's a great kind of way to get, involved in golf as a stepping stone to the game in the future.
Well, that's the beauty of being a social entrepreneur. You live and learn. You learn from your experiences, you learn from your mistakes, and then you just shape a better future. And you just basically remove that mistake and put something in its place. And that is the great thing about being a social entrepreneur, because we're pretty agile, and we come across some hard knocks, lots of boundaries, lots of roadblocks on our social journeys. But ultimately, we're such a creative group of people and resilient group of people that we find ways around those roadblocks and find new ways of improving things and making things better and getting to where we want to be with our social dreams, really. So we're talking about social dreams. So we're going to do the pilot. Um, let's step forward. It's been successful. You've made a difference. You've got the impacts and outcomes that you want. What does the future look like? What does success look like beyond the pilot, Anthony?
Yeah, so I'm fortunate enough to be mentored by a lady called Kyla, who from UnLtd, and she's asked me to set goals for 2025. So, successfully piloting swing stars in primary schools and SEN schools is the first step, but then establishing swing stars for PE in 10 schools across the Northeast is and 10 SEN schools is my goal for 2025. And whether I get there or not is another matter. But I hope to achieve that in 2025. So I think that's what success would look like. And I think success will look like children really enjoying themselves with my golf sessions. I think that is the key barometer for my success, really. The children engaged, and playing golf with a smile on their face, and I think that's what success will look like for me.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I'm going to declare an interest here, Anthony. When I started Golf in Society, I had this mental picture of golf being enjoyed for a lifetime. And I think there needs to be a place and a space where you have your first opportunity to discover this wonderful game we call golf. Then you go on your main golfing journey if you love it, which can end up being playing 18-hole courses, having a full what I would call golf experience at your local club, playing to the best level you can. But there comes a time in life when those opportunities are no longer suitable. You may have had a life-changing illness, condition, whatever it might be, but you can't quite do that 18-hole experience, that full 4.5 hour experience anymore. So there needs to be opportunities later in life to keep enjoying your favorite thing. So the missing part for me, because obviously we're working very much with that sort of what it looks like when 18 holes and those opportunities are no longer available with Golf Inside. That's our bit with that aging population. But really, what you're doing here is you're creating that first bit in the formative years for kids to give it a go and discover it for the first time in a appropriate, enjoyable, fun way. So we're almost collectively creating that circle of golfing life. So opportunities at the young end, that go on to a wonderful world of golf and life of golf through your main years, and then the opportunities to enjoy it later in life. So thanks for filling in that first stepping stone. And I'm looking forward to collaborating with you more, because I think really between everything we're doing, Anthony, we're showing why golf is such a great intergenerational game. And, those wonderful things we see where you've got dads with granddads, with grandkids and kids, all experiencing that that time together, enjoying this wonderful game of sport, the fun, the camaraderie, the banter, those precious moments as a family all together. And golf courses and golf clubs are facilitating that. To me is just wonderful to witness. So I think those intergenerational opportunities of keeping those close-knit families together are just going to get better and better. But we need great entrepreneurs like you doing great stuff with that, with those formative generations, to make sure that pipeline of young people coming into the game remains strong and gets better, because we need to get away from that stat we talked about earlier on, about 0.3% of people giving golf a go. And, for me, wouldn't it be wonderful if, let's say, 20% of young people gave golf a go? I mean, what a dream that would be. So, Anthony, it's been an absolute privilege and pleasure to have you with us today. Thanks for sharing your background, your social mission with the audience. Swing Stars, I'm sure, will be a great success. And if anyone wants to find out a little bit more about Swing Stars, you can get in touch with Anthony, and he'd be happy to share how you can get involved, how you can support it. But I just wish you and your social venture every success for the future. Thanks very much.
I really appreciate you inviting me to speak about Swing Stars today, Anthony. It's been a real pleasure. Um, you know, and just touching on your point there, I think golf is such a great game for everybody, and it's what both of our enterprises are looking to achieve. And I think in the future, there's certainly scope for a joint venture for children and granddads and grandmas from golfing society playing golf together, and enjoying themselves as a family. I think that would be great to see in the future. But yeah, thank you very much for inviting me onto the podcast this morning to discuss Swing Stars. It's been a pleasure.